There's plenty going on without him here, so we're going to start right now on Dropout Friday. We're going to get a quick take on the very quick dropouts from Crisanta Duran and Alice Madden. Fortunately, we have Marianne Goodland from Colorado Politics, Chief State House reporter. What do you think about these two dropouts?
It's interesting. I don't think Crisanta's campaign lit up the way she had hoped it would. She struggled with the fundraising. She got some big endorsements, but in the end, she couldn't raise the money to take on a really entrenched incumbent in Diana DeGette. With Alice Madden, the former House Majority Leader, she has said that she dropped out because once Hickenlooper got into the race, that was sort of the end of her opportunity. But it'll be interesting to see where these two women head in the future.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and a DU law professor. Where do you see these two going?
Who knows on that one? Perhaps nowhere ever again. But they both had, Madden had a plausible rationale for running. She was a successful state legislator, was part of her, chosen by her colleagues to be in the leadership. It was an open seat. She wasn't the most famous candidate running, but why not give it a try and see what happens? Because sometimes you win under circumstances like that. And then, as she said, Hickenlooper comes in, and now the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee and everybody else is big footing to try to get everybody out. And she, I think, probably accurately realized she didn't have a path to the nomination. Duran, obviously also a very successful legislator, Speaker of the House, but her campaign against DeGette never really had any rationales. I guess I'm fresher and younger, and by the way, I'm not white. But DeGette is a very effective leader in Congress, has been representing Denver well for 2 decades. So to run against a successful incumbent, she really never came up with any compelling reason for people to join her.
John Bowman from the Brother Jeff Network. How do you see this changing the landscape?
Well, I'll tell you, Crisanta Duran, I think that was a pipe dream on her part. Just trying to jump in. In terms of Madden, same kind of thing. A couple of weeks ago when Hickenlooper dropped out, that next day I drove by his house and knocked on his door, and the housekeeper let me in. He's out on the back deck. He's out there, with another guy. And so I walked out, and there sitting with Hickenlooper was Mike Johnston. And so I said, whoa. I was like, okay. So I walked in the middle of something here. And so Mike was there to tell him, I'm going to drop out in 2 or 3 days. And I think that has rolled downhill to all these candidates. I mean, when you had the federal, the congressional party from Washington come in and say, we're going to support him even before the primaries, I don't think anybody really has a chance in that race except Hickenlooper.
And Natasha Gardner from 5280, Articles Editor. Whose door have you been knocking on lately?
Well, it seems like I need to knock on more doors, or fewer doors now if there's fewer candidates in the race. I mean, it's interesting. It's getting to that point where it's one thing to say you're going to run, and it's another thing to raise the money, to put together the campaign, to go through the slog that it will be to actually make it to Election Day. And I think that's what we're seeing in both of these races. Just for a moment, I'll take a second to notice that both of them are female candidates. And instead of dwelling on that, but just focus on the fact that Colorado has such a great reputation right now in our state house, in producing really wonderful, interesting, exciting, dynamic women leaders. So I'm hoping this is not the last we hear from both of them.